Good day. Here we have some celery plants that Vivi gave us. As you know, we were growing our own celery plants, which were doing rather well. They always looked very spindly, but they were doing really well. I decided to start hardening them off to plant out. And on one of the days I put them out, Brush decided to chomp on them all and then scrabble the pots about a bit. So I didn't have any celery. So the wonderful Vivi has come to our rescue. Thank you, Vivi. I'll just show you where I've decided to put them. They are going to go into this area here between these lettuce plants, down the middle. I was going to put French beans here, but as I'm going to be tending this bed quite a lot in the coming months, because it's got beans and the Rose de Berne tomatoes in it, I decided it was a good idea to put them here, because then I can water them every time I water the tomatoes and the beans, which will be virtually daily. So what I'm going to do now is just make a hole, pop the celery plants that Vivi has given us in, and give them a real good water. That's the celery planted up. So we have 5 plants in the middle there. Giving them a really good watering. They do like to be watered well. So I think I might actually just make a note to make sure that I do water them every day. Whilst we're on Vivi, let's go into the Polly, because I have some more of her save seed in there that is beginning to jump out of the ground, or out of the compost at least. At the back we have Vivi's cucumber seed that I sowed just over 7 days ago, and as you can see, there's germination after 7 days in virtually every cell. I think there's none in here yet, none in here yet, and none in that back one, and none in the corner one just here. But apart from that, there's germination of Vivi's cucumbers, her cucumber wumbers, in every single cell. Well done, Vivi. Save the day. Right, we're going to leave that there for today. Bit of a Vivi day today, but isn't every day a Vivi day? Yay! See you again soon. Bye. Good day. These are our peppers. Many of these are from seeds that have been given to us. In fact, only these 5 here, I'm not sure why we've only got 5, are our Morrison's yellow long peppers that we save seeds from. Then we have 2 rows of orange bell, which are from Vivi's save seeds, 3 rows of paprika, again Vivi save seeds, and then right on the end you can just about see there's 5 Jamaica peppers which came from seed saved by Brian. So this is my job for today. They're going in the ground. Nowhere near as bushy and tall as Vivi's, but I think it's better that they're in the ground rather than in the pots. First of all, I'm just going to give them a really good water. Let me show you where they're going. This is the bed where the peppers are going to go. I was going to split them up into different blocks, but I'm not, because this is really the only bed that I've got left for them to go into, or at least the only bed that will suit them. I've got one other, but there's quite a bit of shade on it. So I've just given it a once over with my hand fork, and now I'm going to space out the pots in which the peppers are at the moment. I always like to space things out first, and then I can sort of jiggle them around and put them closer or put them further apart. I'm going to be putting these about 12 centimeters apart, which I think is what Vivi said, but if I get that wrong, Vivi, just shout. Right, I'm going to get on and position them out. I forgot to do the shot of positioning them all out, but you've seen that with other plants before. So we have, going from front to back, we have Morrison's yellow long, we have orange bell from Vivi, 2 rows of that. We then have 3 rows of paprika peppers from Vivi, which were those wonderful colourful ones. And then right at the back, which you can hardly see, maybe you can't even see because they are quite small at the moment, are the Jamaica peppers from Brian. So they've all been put in. I think I've actually placed them much further apart. I think I've placed them about 10 inches apart rather than 10 centimetres apart. But yeah, I'm sure that's not, I'm sure that's fine anyway. There's a little bit of space at the end here on either side of this, what's that called? Cotton, lavender and the thyme, right at the front of this bed. And I think we'll be putting in some dwarf French beans there. All I'm going to do now is give these a really good water. I'm going to do it with a fine rose fitted, and I'm going to water at the bottom, but because they are they're quite strong, but they're not the strongest plants. They're going to blow in the wind and that will toughen them up a little bit. But I'm going to water with a fine rose rather than a coarse rose, because sometimes I feel that a coarse rose is a bit too heavy when watering on plants which look as delicate as these. These have now had 2 waters, a really good water, and then I left them for 30 minutes or so and gave them another really good water. And fingers crossed, this bed, well, virtually, well, all of the beds actually on this side get sunlight all day. So they should like that, but obviously we'll need to keep on top of watering. Right, that's it for today. I will see you again very soon, and fingers crossed for our pepper parade. Bye. Good day. It's raining. I came down to do the June plot tour, and as I was coming down, it was cool and dry, and it did say that there was going to be some rain in about an hour or so. So I thought, okay, you know, let me get in the June tour. But you know what? I spent only about 10 minutes chatting to another plot holder about something to do with the plots, to do with the site actually. And then I felt a few drops of rain as I was speaking to her, and I thought I'd better get to the shed and start doing the June tour. But actually, by the time I got to the shed, it was like this. It was raining heavily. However, I still did the June tour. I got our patio umbrella out, which is an unwieldy beast at the best of times. I mean, it's not a huge one, but it's still a big patio umbrella. And it's red, so I don't know what the June tour will come out like, whether there'll be a sort of pinky reddy hue. Um, but I think it's more of a, you know, jumpy June plot tour than the May and April and March ones have been, because I had the umbrella. Oh, I've left it up there by the polytunnel. I had the umbrella sort of over my shoulder here and under my arm, and I was holding it, and I was holding the camera like this and going around. Of course, it got caught on the bamboo frames of the beans, and it got caught in the quince tree, and then it got caught in the apple tree. So I think it's a bit of a jerky June tour, but never mind, never mind. So I don't think there's going to be anything for me to do today. I've done the June tour, so I've achieved something, even if it's going to be a bit jiggly. I've achieved that. But things are looking good out there. I was just saying on the June tour, I feel slightly comfy at the moment, which is interesting, because 10 days ago I was feeling as though things were really getting away from me. Things were getting a bit too late. The polytunnel was full of tomatoes and peppers and squash and other things, and those have been hardened off, and but they still needed to go in. And I felt when we got to Sunday, when I was editing last week's A Week at the Plot and uploading it to YouTube for the Monday release, I was thinking, Paul, you really need to crack on this week. You really need to crack on. You've got your tomatoes to get in the ground. You've got your beans to sow. You've got various things that you need to check on. I then suddenly realised that I had potatoes that I hadn't planted, lates, Sarpo Mirror, that I hadn't planted. Where was I going to plant those? Anyway, I found a patch for those, perfect patch for those. So they are now in. I wanted to get my onions up and my garlic up, but I'm now going to leave that for a few days. I will check on them because of this weather. I don't think we've got any white rot, he says, touching every bit of wood that he can. But I will check on them tomorrow or Sunday. Our carrots are germinating, and they're germinating really well. And I was so pleased yesterday to find out that our parsnips are germinating well as well. So that's terrific. But yeah, it's there's things that I need to do at home. Richard was going to have a garden day. Well, in fact, we were going to go for a walk this morning in the Chilterns. And then Richard said about the rain, so that was put off. And then he said, well, I think I'll have a garden day. But of course, everything in the garden, like here, is going to be wet. So, yeah, I will be editing the June tour and also uploading this to Planet Vegetaria. Oh, my screen has gone dark. Sometimes my screen goes dark and I don't know whether it's just going to switch off. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing that. There's various things we need to just think about at home, and also things that we're planning in life for the rest of the year. We both had our jabs yesterday, so Richard's feeling a little bit tired. I, touch wood, at the moment got no reactions whatsoever. Yeah, anyway, look, waffling, aren't I? I'm waffling. I've got a fleece there that I need to fold up. There's things that I could do, but you know what? No, I'm going to go home and edit the June tour, get that up today on YouTube, and then I'll see you again very soon for one or possibly two more segments of A Week at the Plot. I'm not quite sure what the running time is at the moment on A Week at the Plot, but I have actually wondered whether maybe I should do A Week at the Plot in two parts. Maybe I do a part 1 and a part 2 on a Monday and a Tuesday. Maybe we'll give that a go. We'll see. We'll see. Right. And then now somebody's waving at me. So I'm going to go and see what they. Oh no, they just just saying hello. Hello. Anyway, I'll go and chat to them on my way home. Right. See you again very soon. Bye. Good day. It's rather a warm Saturday after a very, very wet Friday. And I've decided I'm going to start sorting out this onion bed. Where the onions are growing decently, I may leave them in. If they've started bolting, like this one has here, you can see that, I will take that out as well, even if it's growing well. Anything that we take out, we can use over the coming days. I'll just keep them in a bag in the fridge with some water in it, and they'll stay fresh. So we can use many of these as spring onions. Those that haven't really developed into onions, we can use as spring onions. And I'm going to leave the poppies in the bed. Want to see them flower. And yeah, I'm just going to get on with this. There's also a few bits of bindweed that I can see elsewhere that I'm going to pull. Go in with my hand fork and pull up. And then the other thing that I'm going to think about doing today, if I can get round to it, if I have time, because it's already about 4 o'clock, is weeding this bed. Yeah, I've noticed we got some nice turnips developing there, so best to get this bed weeded now that I've got on top of other things. Get this bed weeded so that what we want to grow can grow. Sadly, I have lost one of my tomatoes. A mealworms bag, plastic mealworms bag, was on that tomato there. And all of those mealworms there were around that tomato. But the plastic bag itself had moved, blown possibly. And look, it sliced off one of our tomatoes. So frustrating. It was lying on the bed, the bit that had been sliced off. So I have put it into water, even though it was a bit droopy. I've put it into water and we'll see if it will root. What I'm hoping is that this plant is young enough to start growing further shoots. Fingers crossed. Right, now to get on with weeding. Yesterday our brolly was keeping me dry as I was doing the June plot tour in the rain, and today it's been helping keep me cool whilst I've been weeding this onion bed. We've got a sort of decent harvest of sort of fresh small onions and spring type onions, you can see in the middle there, and I have left the poppies in, and I've left some onions at the back here in too, which are either A, forming up quite well, or B, will be great to harvest next week once we have got through these. So, you know, not great. I mean, they're not great onions. I appreciate that. Our onions haven't done well this year, as you know. Not really sure why. Yes, you know, the weeds have not helped, but actually they were not doing well. If the onions had been doing really, really well, I know I would have kept on top of the weeding. But the fact that they were challenged this year, that's one of the reasons I let things grow. But you know what? We're going to have some fantastic poppies, I hope, which will be lovely. And then this is going to be a brassica bed And over there with the garlic is going to be a brassica bed. That garlic looks quite okay at the moment. It's beginning to yellow, but I'm not in a rush to harvest it. I've pulled one up and it's fine. So I'm not in a rush to harvest. We've got more rain tomorrow and then we've got a spell of dry weather, so fingers crossed. Right, I'm going to have a sit down, move the umbrella and start on the other bed. Yeah, but I'm happy to have got this done today. Sense of real achievement. I think I'm going to leave it there. I'll crack on with the other bed and show it to you tomorrow or next week once I've weeded it. Okay, bye. I'm back. One thing I did want to say is there was a whole load of ladybirds in that bed on the green foliage. So what I've done is I've weeded all these weeds out, and now it sounds a bit odd, I know, I'm going to lay those weeds out on the ground just where this is, where this tub is, because it will give the opportunity, should there be any ladybirds in here, it'll give them the opportunity to fly away overnight. And then tomorrow I'm going to check through this load of weeds again, which will be spread out on the ground here, and make sure there's no ladybirds, and put this into our hot bin composter, which at the moment is sitting around 40 degrees. Okay, I am going now. Bye. Good day. This isn't actually what I'm here to show you, but look at that bee having a wash. Bless. What I actually came to say was I'm putting these sweet dumpling and these black fatsu that Vivi gave us in today. It's just starting to rain, though the sun is out. I'm doing exactly the same with these as I have done with other things, including the Brussels sprouts, but I'm not burying them any deeper. I'm just burying them at the level that they are. So they will literally be buried up to here rather than any deeper. I've decided the sweet dumpling I'm going to put into one of our frames because hopefully they will climb. Right, let me get on and do that, and then hopefully I'll be able to catch up with you in a minute. These are the sweet dumpling, planted rather close together. They're only just over a foot apart. You'd normally do them wider apart than this, but I'm going to try them like this. And fingers crossed, I will be watering them well and I will be feeding them well. And they're the ones that have the Golden Gate flat yellow French beans around them. And if we come over here, the two black fatsu have gone in here next to the 3 cauliflowers that we were given. And as you can maybe see, this one really wanted to go in because it's getting a few flowers on it. So fingers crossed on the black fatsu as well. It seems that saying I'm really pleased to have got that done is the thing of this week. And it has been a bumper week. So much has gone on the plot this week. And that's why I've decided to turn this a week at the plot into 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 will come out on Monday, 8:15 as usual. Part 2 will come out Tuesday, 8:15 a.m. UK time. So we'll see how that goes. It's not my intention to split up a week at the plot every week, though it just made sense to do it this week because of the running time, as I said in yesterday's, which you will have now seen. Yeah, it's been a bumper week of a week at the plot. So what have we done? 77 tomatoes have gone in. 42 peppers have gone in. 200 plus beans have been sown. If we had more room, I would be doing more beans. 5 celery have gone in. 12 Mira potatoes have been planted. They've been planted by our Portuguese cabbage. Where the raised bed is at the moment with the early potatoes, they've been planted in that bed next to that raised bed. And as I say, I thought I'd done them earlier, but I found them in the poly the other day. And, you know, there's Mr. Ratty. It's just sitting there. Let me see if I can get him. Of course, as soon as I moved the camera, Mr. Ratty went off. I'm sure it's the same one though, because it's got a little puncture sort of impression on the side of it where one of the cats got it. But I mean, it seems to be fine anyway. Where were we? Yeah, the Sapo Mirror, they have gone in. We have harvested most of our onions and we're using those as spring onions mainly, though we did have some of the larger onions in a rice salad last night, which was absolutely lovely. We also had some of the mange tout in our rice salad last night, which was absolutely great. So the onion bed has been weeded as well. I've also weeded the lettuce, the beetroot and the chard bed up by the poly. So that has been done. We've put out those 4 squash this morning. And as I say, I've got the others to do. And lots of other sundry things. You know, I've strimmed again and raked. That happened midweek. I didn't show you that. There's been quite a bit of watering, of course, this week, and quite a bit of harvesting of lettuce and just sort of maintenance, really. And I think that's something that we're going to touch on in next week's A Week at the Plot. We're going to talk a little bit about what being an allotmenteer actually means in my book. So yeah, we'll talk about that at some point next week. Next week's weather looks as though it's going to be fine. We're topping up into the mid-20s again for much of next week. Very little rain by the looks of it. I didn't expect that shower of rain that we've just had. It started spitting and then it actually started raining. Not heavily, but raining. So I've most probably still got a few. Oh, I've got some rhubarb seeds on my shoulder. Yeah, it was lovely. I mean, actually being outside in warm weather when it's raining is just glorious. It really is. Doing that tour was rather fabulous for June, doing it in the rain, even though the umbrella was a bit unwieldy. So I'm going to leave it there. And I hope you've enjoyed this week's A Week at the Plot. As per usual, if you do have any questions or any comments, please do put them below. We really do value people commenting. It's terrific, you know. And sometimes people comment that they might be new and they comment on something. So somebody said, one person who hasn't commented before, or too much before certainly, said to me that I should cut the flowers off our rhubarb. Because I showed the rhubarb in full bloom last week in last week's A Week at the Plot. And I explained that rhubarb we just have as a structural plant. It shades the 2 washing up bowl ponds a little bit, and we have it as a structural plant. The rhubarb doesn't actually taste that great. So the option is to dig it out and put something else there, or just abide with it. So we're abiding with that rhubarb. We're living with that rhubarb. We're making a function of that rhubarb by allowing it to grow and shield our washing up bowl ponds. The other rhubarb still needs to go in the ground. That we won't let those go to flower, because we do want harvest from them. We know that they're good ones, and hopefully this month we will be able to, now that we've got such a mammoth week, a marathon week of a week at the plot under our belt. Now is the time where I can start thinking about doing some of the other things that I want to do and I need to do. We need to pull the long grasses. We don't want them to go to seed heavily, because that will just give us further grasses next year. However, it's not been the priority. You know, getting things in the ground has been our priority this week, and I'm really pleased to have done so well with that. We need to start thinking about our bean frames as well, because they need to go up. I think we're going to need more bamboos. I think we are going to need more bamboos, and I'll most probably come on to that next week. But yeah, I'm going, look, I can waffle on, can't I? And you've most probably had enough, even though this is split into 2 parts. I'll see you again tomorrow, likely tomorrow if you're on Planet Vegetaria. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then I'll see you again next week. Do subscribe if you like what we do. See you very soon. Have a good week. Bye.